Hey guys, today I have a book haul to share with you. So let's get going with this video, you guys. I have 20 books that I'm going to be sharing with you. I have just been trying to get my way through some book hauls. I'm super behind on book hauls. A lot of these books I purchased sometime in the middle of last year. That's how far behind I am. But yeah, I'm trying to catch up as best I can. Some of these books I have read, but pretty much all of them I have not. I think there's only a few random ones in there I have read. So yeah, let's get going. I'm just going to pretty much be reading off the synopsises for these books and what about them intrigued me, I guess. First up, 3 Hours in Paris by Cara Black. Kate Rees, a young American markswoman, has been recruited by British intelligence to drop into Paris with a dangerous assignment. Assassinate the Fuhrer, yes. Wrecked by grief after a Luftwaffe bombing killed her husband and infant daughter, she is armed with a rifle, a vendetta, and a fierce resolve. Sounds like a badass woman. But other than rushed and rudimentary instruction, she has no formal spy training. Thrust into the red-hot center of the war, a country girl from rural Oregon finds herself holding the fate of the world in her hands. When Kate misses her mark and the plan unravels, she is on the run for her life, all the time wrestling with the suspicion that the whole operation was a setup. And yeah, I'm trying to think, is this a real thing? I'm trying to remember, is this a real story that happened that's not really well known? Because yeah, at the top it says in June of 1940, when Paris fell to the Nazis, Hitler spent a total of 3 hours in the city, abruptly leaving, never to return. To this day, no one knows why. So it sounds like this is a real thing, that Hitler was in Paris for about 3 hours, and for some reason he left like really quickly. When you would think, since he just conquered the city, he would have stayed there, you know, for like weeks or months at a time. So I think this is based off of some real thing that happened with Paris, I'm guessing, and that's what really intrigued me about the concept of this. Like, yeah, why did Hitler leave after 3 hours, you know? And maybe it has something to do with this female spy lady who was sent to go assassinate Hitler, you know? So yeah, this sounds pretty awesome, you guys. I can't wait to get to this sometime in the future. The Last Bookshop in London by Madeline Martin. August 1939, London prepares for war as Hitler's forces sweep across Europe. Grace Bennet has always dreamed of moving to the city, but the bunkers and drawn curtains that she finds on her arrival are not what she expected, and she certainly never imagined she'd wind up working at Primrose Hill, a dusty old bookshop nestled in the heart of London. Through blackouts and air raids, as the Blitz intensifies, Grace discovers the power of storytelling to unite her community in ways she never dreamed, a force that triumphs over even the darkest nights of the war. Ooh, yes, sounds good. Taking place in a bookshop in London. Hell yes, I'm all for it. Hollow Kingdom by Kira, I think it says Kira Jane Buxton? Buxton? What does that say? I can't read it. Yeah, Kira Jane Buxton. Okay. I couldn't read the curves. I was sitting there trying to look in my camera and I was like, I can't read this backwards. Okay. ST, a domesticated crow, is a bird of simple pleasures. He spends his days hanging out with his owner, Big Jim, trading insults with Seattle's wild crows, i.e., these idiots, and enjoying the finest food humankind has to offer, Cheetos. Then Big Jim's eyeball falls out of his head, ew, and ST starts to think something's not quite right. His tried and true remedies, such as beak-delivered beer and an inventive cocktail of stolen pharmaceuticals, fail to cure Big Jim's debilitating malady. Suddenly, ST is left with no choice but to abandon his old life and venture out into the wild and frightening world of Seattle with Big Jim's loyal but dim-witted dog, Dennis. To his shock and horror, he finds Big Jim's neighbors literally devouring one another. Local wildlife is abuzz with rumors of Seattle's dangerous new predators. Humanity's extinction has seemingly arrived, and the only one determined to save it is a cowardly crow whose only knowledge of the world comes from TV. What could possibly go wrong? You guys, when I found out this was like a zombie genre book, but like told through the point of view of this crow, seriously, it's told through the point of view of a crow, I was like, hell yes, I'm here for it. Give it to me. I need something different with the zombie genre, you know. And this sounds like a breath of fresh air for the genre, which I'm pretty excited to get to sometime in the future. Capturing the Devil by Carrie Moniscalco, something like that. I'll have to look up later when I do like a video review for this. I have to look up better how to pronounce her name. And you guys, this is the last book in this particular series. I'm trying to think. I want to say this is book 4. I can't remember. I think this is book 4 in this particular series. So I don't know if I want to. Do I want to read the synopsis? Here, let me look over it real quick. I mean, there's nothing really. I kind of just looked over this really quickly because I didn't want to sit and read the synopsis if this has anything to do with spoilers. I don't think there's really anything with spoilers on here. It says Audrey, Rose, and Thomas have arrived in America, a bold, brash land bursting with life. But like their beloved London, the city of Chicago has dark secrets. When the two attend the spectacular World's Fair, they uncover a sickening truth. The once-in-a-lifetime event is tainted with reports of missing people and unsolved murders. Audrey, Rose, and Thomas begin their investigations only to find themselves facing a serial killer unlike any they've encountered before. Identifying him is one thing, but capturing him, especially within the infamous murder hotel he built as a confusing and terrifying torture device, is another. Will Audrey Rose, together with her true love at last, see her final mystery to its end, or will she fall prey to her most cunning adversary yet? Okay, so this does sound like it is the last book in the series. I have not started this series just yet, but I have been getting all the books because they all sound super great, like historical fiction, sort of fantasy. They sound a little fantastical in places. So yeah, I definitely cannot wait to get to this series because I know there's one like something about Jack the Ripper, another one with Dracula, with Houdini or something. This one sounds like it has to do with the devil. I don't know. I can't wait to get to the series though because they sound like really super awesome and fun and exciting and whatnot. And yeah, it's presented by James Patterson. Elizabeth and Margaret. And this is by Andrew Morton. And yeah, let me sit back here. I can't see the rest of, I can't read backwards, you guys. The Intimate World of the Windsor Sisters. Like I said, this is by Andrew Morton. And Andrew Morton is the guy who wrote that really controversial book with Princess Diana, right? That's the same guy, right? Oh Lord, I think I did buy that book, that Princess Diana book. I can't wait to get to that. I'm very intrigued to get to that and see what all the controversy is about. So yeah, is this book controversial too? I don't know. I've not really heard anything about this. But yeah, this is historical non-fiction. They were the closest of sisters and the best of friends, but when in a twist of fate, their uncle Edward VIII decided to abdicate the throne, the dynamic between Elizabeth and Margaret was permanently and dramatically altered. Margaret would forever have to curtsy to the sister she called Lilibet and bow to her wishes. But I mean, yeah, if you've seen like season 1 and 2 of The Crown on Netflix, it seems like this is that story, you know, kind of the internal drama that was going on between Queen Elizabeth II and her sister, Princess Margaret. Just a lot of heartbreak and angst within the family. And yeah, poor Princess Margaret, her love life just being kind of shattered before her eyes. The things she was allowed to do and not do and everything. Like I said, if you've seen season 1 and 2 of The Crown, it sounds like this is just a non-fiction version of that, you know. I definitely can't wait to get to this. I really loved that whole plot arc in The Crown, especially with Princess Margaret. I just adore and appreciate Princess Margaret after watching the show. So I can't wait to get to this and get a little bit more historical detail, I guess. The Women of Chateau Lafayette by Stephanie Dray. I love the cover of this too. It's like really dark and chilling, sort of. Oh my goodness, the plot synopsis of this. There are 3 settings. You guys, dear God, do I want to read all this to you? I guess I need to kind of read it all to you, or else you're not going to know what the book is about. There are 3 historical settings. There's 1774, 1914, and 1940. Good God. Okay, let's get going here. Okay, so in 1774, a gently bred French noblewoman, Adrienne, marries the young Marquess de Lafayette and becomes her husband's political partner in the fight for America's independence. But when their idealism sparks revolution in France and the guillotine threatens everything she holds dear, Adrienne must renounce the complicated man she loves or risk her life for a legacy that will inspire generations to come. So we have that. And then in 1914, glittering New York socialite Beatrice is a force of nature, daunted by nothing, for her humble beginnings, her crumbling marriage, or the outbreak of war. But after witnessing the devastation in France firsthand, Beatrice takes on the challenge of a lifetime, convincing America to fight for what's right. And then 1940, French schoolteacher and aspiring artist Martha has an orphan's self-reliance and wants nothing to do with war. But as the realities of Nazi occupation transforms her life in the isolated castle where she came of age. She makes a discovery that calls into question who she is and, more importantly, who she is willing to become. I'm curious how all three of these stories are going to tie in together. It seems like France is kind of the central tie-in together, and it does. It looks like we're having World War One and World War Two and like the French Revolution and whatnot. So I definitely can't wait to get to this. I love when there's narratives like this. And it's like, okay, how do all these narratives tie into one another? Because obviously they have to in some way. The Elephants of Belfast by S. Kirk Walsh. And you guys, of course, this had an elephant on the cover. And I was like, oh my God, there's an elephant. I must have this. Put an animal on a cover, you guys, and I'm bound to buy it. So yeah, Belfast, October 1940. 20-year-old zookeeper Hetty Quinn arrives at the city docks in time to meet her new charge, an orphan 3-year-old Indian elephant named Violet. As Violet adjusts to her new solitary life in captivity, and Hetty mourns the recent loss of her sister and the abandonment of her father, new storm clouds gather. A world war rages, threatening a city already reeling from escalating tensions between British loyalties and those fighting for a free and unified Ireland. The relative peace is shattered by air raid sirens on the evening of Easter Tuesday, 1941. Over the course of the next 5 hours, hundreds of bombs rained down upon Belfast, claiming almost 1,000 lives and decimating the city. Dodging the debris and carnage of the Luftwaffe attack, Hetty runs to the zoo to make sure that Violet is unharmed. The harrowing ordeal and ensuing aftermath set the pair on a surprising path that highlights the indelible singular bond that often brings mankind and animals together during horrifying times. Oh my God, this sounds like it's going to be so cute, but maybe heartbreaking. I hope if this elephant dies, you guys, if this damn elephant dies sometime during this journey, oh my God, if Nazi bombs land on this poor elephant, I'm going to cry and sob my eyes out. Oh my God. Whew. The Widow Queen by an author whose name I cannot pronounce. Let me sit down here and look at it. I need to physically look at this name. Elizabeta Sherznika? Elizabeta Sherzhnevskaya. Oh my God. That I can't pronounce that. Seriously, guys, whenever I get around to doing like an actual video review for this book, I will definitely pull up a pronunciation guide for this lady's name. But yeah, right now, oh my, I cannot. Oh my. Whew. Okay. This is part of a series. I think it's a trilogy. And this is something that has been translated into English, because I want to say it's actually Polish. If I'm not mistaken, you guys, I want to say this is actually Polish, because that's why I can't pronounce her name. It's a Polish name. And I want to say this has been translated into English. Let's see. Okay. To her father, the great Duke of Poland. Oh Lord, even the main character's name, I can't pronounce it. Oh no. How am I supposed to read a synopsis when I can't even pronounce anything, you guys? This is terrible. I'm embarrassed. I'll call her S. She has like a super really long, difficult name. I'm just going to call her S, okay? Let me start over. To her father, the great Duke of Poland, S and her two sisters represent 3 chances for an alliance, 3 marriages on which to build his empire. But S refuses to be simply a pawn in her father's schemes. She seeks a throne of her own, with no husband by her side. The gods may grant her wish, but crowns sit heavy, and power is a sword that cuts both ways. Yeah, what's this other? There's another synopsis up here. This one didn't really give much of a synopsis. It says, in this epic saga of family, love, and war, we meet a battle-tested exile returning to claim his rightful throne, a bloodthirsty prince hungering for his father's crown, an honorable Viking leader thrust into the politics of nobility, and a young woman with the power to raise or ruin the fates of them all. I think that was a better synopsis than this other little synopsis, dear God. You know, guys, I can't pronounce anything on here, unfortunately, but the thing is, it still sounds super great and awesome. You all know how much I love historical fiction, and this definitely just sounds like something really unique and different that I have never had any sort of experience with before, so I'm pretty excited to get to this at some point. And like I said, I want to say it's a trilogy. The second book is coming out sometime in the fall, if I'm not mistaken, and then I don't know about the third book, because I don't know if the third book has even come out, if it needs to wait for like an English translation, which is possible. But yeah, this is great. I love the cover design on this. Oh my God. The Ladies of the Secret Circus by Constance Sayers. Paris, 1925. To enter the secret circus is to enter a world of wonder, a world where women weave illusions of magnificent beasts, carousels take you back in time, and trapeze artists float across the sky. Bound to her family's circus, Cecile Cabot knows no other world until she meets a charismatic young painter and embarks on a passionate affair that could cost her everything. And then we skip forward to Virginia, 2004. Laura Barnes is on top of the world until her fiancé disappears on their wedding day. When her desperate search for answers unexpectedly leads her to her great-grandmother's journals, Laura is swept into a story of a dark circus and an ill-fated love. Ooh. So yeah, what do those two stories have to do together? How are they going to tie together? I can't wait. The Lost Village by Camilla Sten. You know, I feel like in the past I have pronounced her name Camilla Stein, but I just realized there's like no I in there, like that would be pronounced Stein. So I think it's Camilla Sten. I don't know. And this says that it's actually a translation. Documentary filmmaker Alice has been obsessed with the vanishing residents of an old mining town dubbed the Lost Village since she was a little girl. In 1959, her grandmother's entire family disappeared in the mysterious tragedy, and ever since, the unanswered questions surrounding the only two people who were left, a woman stoned to death in the town center and an abandoned newborn, have plagued her. She's gathered a small crew of friends in the remote village to make a film about what really happened, but there will be no turning back. Not long after they've set up camp, strange things begin to happen. Equipment is destroyed, people go missing. As doubt breeds fear and their very minds begin to crack, one thing becomes strangely clear to Alice. They are not alone. They're looking for the truth, but what if it finds them first? Oh, yes. This sounds great. Yes. The Lamplighters by Emma Stonix. It's New Year's Eve, 1972, when a boat pulls up to the Maiden Rock Lighthouse with relief for the keepers. But no one greets them. When the entrance door, locked from the inside, is battered down, rescuers find an empty tower. A table is laid for a meal not eaten. The principal keeper's wealthy log describes a storm raging around the tower, but the skies above have been clear, and the clocks have all stopped at 8:45. How creepy. 2 decades later, the keeper's wives are visited by a writer determined to find the truth about the men's disappearance. Moving between the women's stories and the men's last weeks together on the lighthouse, we see long-held secrets surface and truths twist into lies as we piece together what happened, why, and who to believe. This sounds great. Some dudes go missing at a lighthouse. The wives are all dealing with the aftermath. What happened to these guys? Something supernatural? Did they all murder each other? Cannibalism? Who knows? I can't wait to find out. Go the Distance by Jean Calanita, and this is part of the Disney Twisted Tales series. And yeah, if you couldn't tell from the cover of this, this is like a retelling of Disney's Hercules or whatever. And what all of these Twisted Tales do, they ask like some sort of what if question, something that's going to change what you know about the original cartoon. And this one is asking, what if Meg had to become a Greek god? So yeah, this book, I have already read this book. I really liked it, you guys. It was just really fun to have a Disney book focused on Meg, because it seems like a lot of these Disney books, they focus on primarily the princesses. It's like, how many times do we got to read about Cinderella and Snow White and Belle and Jasmine? You know, it's always the Disney princesses. And I always feel like poor Meg, because, you know, Meg is just kind of a heroine. She is a Disney heroine. She's not a princess. I always feel like poor Meg is always left out of a lot of the fun when it comes to these Disney books. So I'm so glad Meg has her own book. I really liked it. And it pretty much takes place after what happened in the cartoon. Because, you know, the way the cartoon ends, it's like, okay, Hercules and Meg, there's a happy ending, but wait, there's more. And yeah, this book kind of goes into the what's more. And yeah, if Meg wants to be with Hercules, she needs to prove herself and she needs to become a Greek goddess. So yeah, I love this book. It was great. The Happiest Girl in the World by Elena Dillon. You guys, you may think I'm crazy when I read the synopsis of this, because this is something I typically wouldn't read, but there was something about it that really grabbed my attention. So yeah, for Sarah Wheeler, the Olympics are the reason for everything. They're why she trains 30 hours a week, starves herself to under 100 pounds, and pops Advil like Tic Tacs. They're why Sierra's mother, Charlene, hungry for glory she never had, rises before dawn to drive her daughter to practice in a different state, of why their family scrimps, saves, and fractures. They're why when Sarah's best friend reports the gymnastics doctor to the authorities who select the Olympic team. Sarah denies what she knows about his treatments, thus preserving favor. Their friendship shatters, but Sarah protected her dream, didn't she? Sarah doubles down, taping broken toes, numbing torn muscles, and siphoning her family's resources. Soon, she isn't training for the love of gymnastics. She's training to make her disloyalty worthwhile, no matter the cost. And there's just something about this, because it has to do with a young woman who's part of, like, I guess, the U.S. Olympics gymnastics team and whatnot. And the reason I kind of was interested in this book, because sometime last year I watched the Netflix TV show called Spinning Out, and that was about a young woman who was training to be, like, in the Winter Olympics for like the team figure skating and whatnot. And I really love that show, and it was just something different I don't typically watch. And so when I found out about this book and had to do with a young woman as part of, like, a gymnastics team, I was like, okay, that sounds pretty cool, because it kind of sounds like the TV show Spinning Out, sort of, a woman who is facing struggles and issues and body issues and family issues, and it seems like there's stuff going on with her trainer and whatnot. So I was like, let me give this a shot. It's not typically what I would read, but it sounds really good nonetheless. And yeah, it has to do with the Olympics, and I have never read a book about, involving the Olympics, so this should be kind of different and just kind of maybe a palate cleanser, if that makes sense, because I read so much historical fiction. This would be a nice palate cleanser in between, like, a bunch of historical fiction I'm reading. Malice by Heather Walter. Once upon a time, there was a wicked fairy who, in an act of vengeance, cursed a line of princesses to die. A curse that could only be broken by true love's kiss. You've heard this before, haven't you? The handsome prince, the happily ever after. Utter nonsense. Let me tell you, no one in Briar actually cares about what happens to its princesses. Not the way they care about their jewels and elaborate parties and charm-granting elixirs. I thought I didn't care either, until I met her. Princess Aurora, the last heir to Briar's throne, kind, gracious, the future queen her realm needs, one who isn't bothered that I am Alice, the dark grace, abhorred and feared for the mysterious dark magic that runs in my veins, humiliated and shamed by the same nobles who pay me to bottle hexes and then brand me a monster. Aurora says I should be proud of my gifts, that she cares for me, even though power like mine was responsible for her curse. But with less than a year until that curse will kill her, any future I might see with Aurora is swiftly disintegrating, and she can't stand to kiss yet another insipid prince. I want to help her. If my power began her curse, perhaps it's what can lift it. Perhaps together we could forge a new world. Nonsense again, because we all know this story ends, don't we? Aurora is the beautiful princess, and I am the villain. Ooh, this is good. Really, all I know about this book is that it's sort of a Sleeping Beauty retelling of a sort. I'm definitely getting all those Sleeping Beauty vibes for sure. Yeah, it sounds like the princess and the female villain. There's a thing going on there. So that sounds really, really interesting, you guys. I definitely can't wait to get to this. And there is a book too that recently came out. I think this is only supposed to be a duology, if I'm not mistaken. Because if that's the case, if both books are out, I might try to get around to this sooner rather than later. So yeah, I can't wait to get to this. Mirrorland by Carol Johnstone. Kat lives in Los Angeles, far away from 36 Westrick Road, the imposing Gothic house in Edinburgh where she and her estranged twin sister, Elle, grew up. As girls, they invented Mirrorland, a dark imaginary place under the pantry stairs full of pirates, witches, and clowns. These days, Kat rarely thinks about their childhood home or the fact that Elle now lives there with her husband, Ross. But when Elle mysteriously disappears after going out on her sailboat, Kat is forced to return to 36 Westrick Road, which has scarcely changed in 20 years. The grand old house is still full of shadowy hidden corners, and at every turn Kat finds herself stumbling on long-held secrets and terrifying ghosts from the past, because someone, Elle, has left Kat clues in almost every room, a treasure hunt that leads right back to Mirrorland, where she knows the truth lies crouched in waiting. A twisty, dark, and brilliantly crafted thriller about love and betrayal, redemption and revenge, Mirrorland is a propulsive page-turning debut about the power of imagination and the price of freedom. Ooh, this sounds really great. It sounds just really dark, twisted, about two girls kind of going back to their family home and whatnot. Ooh, sounds good. Ariadne by Jennifer Saint. I have already read and reviewed Ariadne. I really enjoyed it. I was pleasantly surprised with it because when I first kind of started with it, I wasn't sure how I was going to feel about it, but I ended up really highly enjoying this book. If you're someone who likes all things like Greek mythology retellings and whatnot, I think you'll really like this. So yeah, what is this book about? Ariadne, Princess of Crates, grows up greeting the dawn from her beautiful dancing floor and listening to her nursemaid stories of gods and heroes. But beneath her golden palace echoes the ever-present hoofbeats of her brother, the Minotaur, a monster who demands a blood sacrifice. When Theseus, the Prince of Athens, arrives to vanquish the beast, Ariadne sees in his green eyes not a threat but an escape. Defying the gods, betraying her family and country, and risking everything for love, Ariadne helps Theseus kill the Minotaur. But will Ariadne's decision ensure her happy ending? And what of Phaedra, the beloved younger sister she leaves behind? Yes, like I said, if you love Greek mythology, this is going to be the book for you. I was really pleasantly surprised with it. Had a great time, and I'm not entirely familiar. I wasn't entirely familiar with the story of Ariadne because I knew about Ariadne, her helping Theseus and the whole thing with the ball of yarn and helping him get through the labyrinth to defeat the Minotaur. It's like I knew that chunk of the story. But yeah, I didn't know the rest of Ariadne's story, which was really fun to read. Project Hail Mary by Andy Weir. And this is the same author who did The Martian. I have not read The Martian. I saw the movie with Matt Damon. I loved that movie, and I always meant to go back and get the book, but I never did. So I did. I got this book though. Ryland Grace is the sole survivor on a desperate last chance mission, and if he fails, humanity and Earth itself will perish. Except that right now he doesn't know that. He can't even remember his own name, let alone the nature of his assignment or how to complete it. All he knows is that he's been asleep for a very, very long time, and he's just been awakened to find himself millions of miles from home, with nothing but 2 corpses for company. His crewmate's dead, his memories fuzzily returning. Ryland realizes that an impossible task now confronts him. Hurtling through space on this tiny ship, it's up to him to puzzle out an impossible scientific mystery and conquer an extinction-level threat to our species. And with the clock ticking down and the nearest human being light years away, he's got to do it all alone. Or does he? Yeah, this sounds great. There's definitely something reminiscent of this to, like, The Martian, because The Martian, it was about a guy on Mars, and he was stuck and trapped up there, and he couldn't get away from Mars. So this sounds kind of like the same thing. A sole guy on this ship, his crewmates are dead, and he has to really be self-reliant and figure out how to save himself. So yeah, I definitely can't wait to this. This sounds all sorts of great. And you guys, the next 3 books here, I'm really excited about. I can't wait to get to these. First up is Shadow and Bone by Leigh Bardugo, Siege and Storm by Leigh Bardugo, and Ruin and Rising by Leigh Bardugo. So yeah, if you can't tell, those come from the Shadow and Bone universe and whatnot. The Grisha-verse, I think is actually what it's called. Yeah, the Grisha-verse. I watched the TV show Shadow and Bone when it first came out. I was hooked. I loved it, and I think after I watched the show, a few weeks later, I went out and I got all 3 of these books. I have yet to read these books. I want to read them so bad. I just don't know when I'm going to get it. I have so many books. You guys, that's the problem when you're someone who loves books. It's like you get so many of them, and I mean, I can only read so quickly. I can only read so quickly, and yeah, I definitely can't wait to get to this trilogy, and yeah, I really want to pick up all the other books too, that are in the Grisha-verse and whatnot, because yeah, Leigh Bardugo has a couple other series. So yeah, I definitely can't wait to get to these, since I do love the show. I'm excited to compare, what will I like more? Will I end up liking the show more possibly, or will I really like these books as well? I hope I really like the books. I know these are very popular when it comes to young adult fiction, and I've kind of been off of the young adult bandwagon a little bit. I'm kind of young adult can be hit or miss with me on occasion, but yeah, I think this would be the type of young adult I'll really like. So you guys, that is it for my book haul. In the comments below, have you guys read any of these books? Do you plan on reading any of them? Which of these books should I get to sooner rather than later? Hey, do not postpone that book. You need to read it now, or I'm going to be upset with you. So yeah, just let me know your thoughts below about any of these books if you've read and enjoyed them, or maybe you didn't like some of them. Let me know that too. So that's it for this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you like this video, you may like these other videos. Bye, guys.